always think of love, just what I've been dreaming of. And I can never figure out, oh, how you do the things you do. That's why I'm so in love with you. I like the way you make me smile. Boy, you give me butterflies. And when I look into your eyes, I'll see the future in me and you. That's why I wrote this song for you. I-L-O-V-E-Y-O-U. I-L-O-V-E-Y-O-U. Just want you to know what I think of you. L-O-V-E-Y-O-U. Baby, you've got what it takes to make your girl say L-O-V-E-Y-O-U. If I met you in another life and you asked me to be your wife, with grace and a smile I say, yeah, always now and forever. You be my one and only lover. Cause I like the way you make me smile. Boy, you give me butterflies. And when I look into your eyes, I'll see the future in me and you. That's why I wrote this song for you. I-L-O-V-E-Y-O-U. I-L-O-V-E-Y-O-U. Just want you to know what I think of you. L-O-V-E-Y-O-U. Baby, you've got what it takes to make your girl say L-O-V-E-Y-O-U. Pa-pa-pa-da-pa-pa. 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 Pa-pa-pa-da-pa-pa.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Tony Commander J.R. Glapohkpa Chesson talk show. Today is Saturday, April the 22nd, 2023. As I always say, what has this day got in store for us? You know, every morning I do my show, I read the comments afterwards. And I read the comment from my brother, Mr. Gabe Tucker, who is the grandson of our late president, William V.S. Tuckman. Now, Gabe thinks that I'm bashing his grandfather for what is going on in Liberia today. There is no doubt about it. Tuckman is a great president. He's a great political leader. What makes a great political leader? Let me bring my correspondent on from Liberia first so he can be on. Sam, I can't hear you.
Hello?
I can't hear you. Yes.
You getting me now?
Yes. Hold on. Let me finish talking. So I was talking about Gabe Tucker. And
The network so bad here.
okay, hold on. I'm talking. Hold on. I was talking about Gabe Tucker and Tubman. And he has to realize, Tubman, I'm muting you for a while. Tubman was and is a great president of Liberia. Nothing can change that. I will bring you back on, Sam. Sam, I'm talking to my people. You'll come back on. Tubman was and is a great leader of Liberia. And I was saying, what makes a great leader? I'm a political scientist. And one of the things they teach you in political science is a great leader is a leader who maintains his political system to the end, wherever it is, whether it's a democracy, an oligarchy, a dictatorship. A good leader is one who maintains his regime to the end. So if a president comes in for one term and serves for one term and leave, he's a good leader. If he serves two terms and leave, he's a better leader under our system of leadership. If you come and change the system of leadership from a democracy into a dictatorship or oligarchy, like Tubman did to Liberia, and it survived, you're a great leader. You are a great leader because what you intended to happen happened, and during your political tenure, you survived. But the question is, what happens after your leadership? That is the test of time. What happens after your leadership? You built all this great thing for 30 years. What happens after it when you die? Because that way your legacy is proven. That's where your power is proven. That's where your love for the nation is proven. After you die. So before Tubman, many years before Tubman, from the founding of Liberia, every president served 2 terms. Just like now, that's the same way it was before Tubman. Every president of Liberia served 2 terms. Tubman became president. He violated our laws. He changed the laws. When people talk, the Coleman family talk about it, Mr. Coleman and his brother and his son, they were opponents to the Tubmans. They talk about it. They talk against it. Apple Port, who all of you know, he talk against it. When you tamper with our laws and violate them under corrupt means, our country will never survive. And that's why young Gabe Tucker got to understand, I'm not bashing your father. I'm trying to save my country. And for me to save my country, we have to find out where the source of the problem began. What the problem is, we have to identify it first. Find out what the source is. What are the elements that make it, that perpetuate it throughout time? And how do we stop it? So we got to understand that corruption, deception, lies, trickery, all those negative things are hampering our country now. So we have identified the problems. You can't trust no Liberian man right now. Look at all our leaders. They are damn rogues. It doesn't matter whether they are America, Liberia, or whether they are a country, or where they're from, or they are rogues. All our leaders are rogues. Where did this trend emanate from? How our whole country became rogue, and we are a nation that has been independent for 200 years. How are our country people today are just Massive rogues. Massive rogues. How come? It bothers me. It's mind-boggling. Isn't it bothering you that you see you can't trust no Liberian person? Huh? Whether they're in government or not, whether they are relative or not, you cannot trust one damn Liberian person today. It's a problem in our society. Where did it emanate? Where did it start? We got to find a source. And we know that before Tubman, no president in Liberia ever served more than 2 terms. I think that the presidency was 4 years. You serve 4 years, 1 term. You serve 4 years, 2 years. It was 4 years, 1 term, or 2 years, the second term. I don't know how it was, but you served 2 terms. After your 2 terms, you left. Tubman got there. You see, when people are deceitful, Barclay tried to change the constitution before Tubman. And he started a whole corrupt system of leadership in our country. Barclay left the office to change the leadership so he could stay longer. And they tried to put Tubman there as a stooge. And Tubman managed to bamboozle the whole country and Barclay and put him in jail and all of that. Now Tubman became president. Put all your boys in power. They manipulated. How many times they changed the constitution? They changed the constitution several times until they will reach to the point that they said, okay, there is no time limit for president. You can be president as long as the people select you. So they changed our whole democracy. When Tubman knew he had all the indigenous people on his side, and they had tricked Ben Freeman, who is my grandfather, and poisoned him, how my grandfather would be vice president of Liberia and died under mysterious circumstances that today nobody know how my grandfather died. No investigation was done. And they just said the vice president of Liberia died under mysterious circumstances. Where do we usually see that kind of thing happen? We don't see it happen. But take up the book, Liberia's Past and Present by Richardson, and read that book. You see how my grandfather in that book, in one of his speeches, turned over all his indigenous people to Tubman. My grandfather brought all the chiefs together. Tamba Taylor, Bodo Barclay, Chikwana, all the chiefs. Ben Freeman brought them together. And when he brought them together, he put all of them in the House of Representatives and made them representatives. I told you this story before, and not nothing new. My grandfather was a lawyer. My grandfather knew we could not collect hot tax from these people without representation. And despite the fact that they had no education, they had representation. Their chiefs were their representatives. That's how all the chiefs ended up in the Liberia, into the Liberian legislature. Why? Because taxation without representation is illegal. So they brought all the chiefs and put them in there. And in Liberia, Orkin Johnson wrote right up and said MC, the old MC there, which is a college now, AME College. They had the chiefs' quarters, a big compound Tubman built for all the chiefs when they come down. Ben Freeman built them. Ben Freeman made them build that compound. So when all the chiefs come down to legislature, they could live in that compound. It was called the chiefs' compound. So you'll see, there were people who had intentions of changing our country. There were people, let me tell Sam goodbye. I want to talk about my lesson. Sam, I know nothing happening in Liberia today, right? We can't hear you.
Nothing happening in Liberia this morning after Ramadan, and the network is giving me a problem.
Okay, brother. Let me keep on my lesson. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bro.
Talk to you Monday.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Be safe.
Have a nice weekend. Yeah.
You too. So, where was let me just take a minute to recollect where I was. But the whole point was that our people need a representation. You can't have the people paying hot tax and all the kind of tax, whether they're indigenous or not. And my grandfather knew that. Ben Furman knew that. When he was Speaker of the House, he knew that. That way he made them build the chief quarters. And he made all the chiefs representatives. Because our indigenous people could not speak English, most of them. Our indigenous people would not adapt to the Western system, majority of them. So with the chiefs in Parliament, in the House of Representatives, as representing the masses of the people, disseminating news and information from the chiefs to the people kept Liberia safe. Because for the government to be accepted by the masses of the indigenous people, the chiefs had to accept the government. And through my grandfather, Ben Freeman, who was the Speaker of the House, he brought all the chiefs and put them in the legislature. So he controlled them. And that scared Tutman. That scared Tutman. Because yet Tutman then wanted to lead the country. Then they get this guy as vice president. My grandfather wasn't vice president. He was a representative from Masurado County. Then he got there in the representative. They made him speaker. So that there is this young speaker. My grandfather wasn't black like us. He was highlight. My grandfather then was almost mulatto. They weren't like us. When they poisoned my grandfather and he died, he turned black like me. A man told me that. So when my grandfather then were there, they were those highlight people coming from Thomas Jefferson Plantation. So my grandfather had influence. He knew how to deal with the indigenous people. He went and sat with all the chiefs. He had all the chiefs with him. And one of his promises he made to them was he was going to marry an indigenous woman, which he did, my grandmother. He made a promise to them that if they worked together, he would marry an indigenous woman. And he married my grandmother, who was a Gola woman. But my grandmother wasn't dumb. She didn't just come out of the Gribble Boots there and say no. My grandmother was living with the chief pana of the Gola tribe. That was my grandmother. People could who they are. Okay? Chief pana took his daughter and gave her to the missionaries, the Lutheran missionary to train. And they trained her. My grandmother was a musician. She was a housekeeper. She was everything. When my grandfather went and saw her on the Lutheran mission, he decided that the woman he wanted to marry. Chief Pana daughter. And Chief Pana of the Gola tribe gave his daughter to my grandfather as their promise. So I'm the promise to my indigenous people. That way it can never be broken. It can never be broken. The promise my grandfather made to the indigenous people of Liberia, I am that promise. And because of that, my mother knew she couldn't just give me to anybody to raise. As young as she was, she couldn't do it herself. So when Louise Walter Smith came up and said, give me that baby, let me take care of him, you go live your life. She knew Louise Walter Smith. Louise Walter Smith wasn't no small woman in Liberia. if you know Liberian history, you will know like Louise Walsall Smith. Anybody who know about the Greenwood case, all the lawyers who know about the Greenwood was an indigenous Jamaican man. I think he came to Liberia. He fell in love with my aunt's sister, Salome. They were beautiful. When I saw my aunt picture when she was young, I couldn't believe it. One day I was just looking through the thing, I saw that picture. I took that picture, I looked at the picture, I ran downstairs. Mama, who is this woman? Who is this woman? She said, I'm me. You think I was ugly than that you the one who butt on my face, got all these knots on my face. She was a hell of a woman. She said that you broke my teeth, butt me in the head. You are a baby boy. I'm horny. You just jumping up, butting me in my head, using that hard head of yours. And we just laughed, you know. But she was beautiful. And her sister, Salome, was extremely beautiful. So this guy and their brother, William E. Wadsworth, was Associate Justice of Liberia. This is one of the biggest cases in Liberian law. One of the biggest, the Greenwood, I think his name was Greenwood, not Greenleaf, Greenwood case. Like Republic of Liberia versus Greenwood is one of the biggest cases in Liberia. That was my aunt's sister. I read that case in law school. She was so beautiful. These people, these two sisters were beautiful, man. They were beautiful. And both of them married men who had come from the West Indian background. You know, my uncle wasn't West Indian, but he had traveled all to the West Indies and all of that. But her sister Salome married Greenwood or Greenleaf or whatever he was. I can't remember the name too well, but I know it was Green something. So it was Greenwood. She married this man. And this man was jealous, man. This man was jealous. This woman could not do anything that this man didn't want to know about, that wanted to know about. She was, just as she was beautiful and married him, that just how she was jealous. He accused her of cheating on her and on him and killed her. After he killed her, man, it was one of the biggest cases in Liberia. All the law school students read it. And her brother was Chief Justice at that time. So I can't remember the case too well because I learned the case so many years ago, but I knew that he was convicted. There was no way he could have gotten off with her brother being Chief Justice and Associate Justice of Liberia. He was found guilty. I think he was hanged. Okay? They killed him. But he killed Salome, man. And she was a beautiful woman. So my aunt knew all this history. My aunt wasn't a small woman in Liberia, man. I told you before, Louise Walsall Smith, the woman that raised me, was a big Eastern style woman. Was a big Eastern style. And what the other one? Sisters of the Mysterious 10. Oh Lord, that one, the UBF, SMT, Sister of the Mysterious 10, SMT, UBF, SMT, Eastern Star, National Choir, Methodist Choir. I left a pew in the church in honor of my uncle, Alexander Smith, in the name of my aunt, because she was such a force in that church, the First Methodist Church on Ashburn Street. She was in the choir. She did everything in that church there, man. I grew up in that church, you know, but that wasn't my church. And she understood that. Because one day I just came to her and told her, I said, Mama, I said, you know, I like the Methodist Church and all of that. I said, but my heart is with the First Church. She said, which church? I said, the Catholic Church. She said, you like the Catholic Church? I said, yeah. I said, I'll always be attached to the Methodist Church, but I got to go to the First Church. I feel that way I belong. I want to go to Cathedral. And she said, go to Cathedral. And then I started going Catholic schools. And when I came to America, I wasn't really into Catholicism. Then I just wanted to go to school and learn about Catholicism, because when you go to school, you got to go to mass and all that kind of things. So I always gravitated towards that. And when I came to America, that's when I committed myself to the faith, because I understood better what it meant and the doctrine of the church and all of that. So that's why it was back home, man. And Tubman was a leader of our country. After he took over, they changed the laws from 2 years to 4 years, from 4 years to 6 years. Then finally they decided, hey, Tubman been there for 6 years, so we might as well just make it as long as the people vote for the president. God Tubman stayed there for 30 years. Because they got to the point that they had changed the law so much, they decided, hey, why change for longer anymore? The law was 2 to 4 years, we changed it from 4 to 6. Then after Tubman got to 6 years, we changed it again from 6 to 8. You know, what we keep changing the law for that? So let's just say, as long as the people select the president, he can stay president. So they took the limitation of the presidency for Tubman to stay president for 30 years. And all of this happened under Tubman. And under the law, when you change the law, the president got to move. The president can't be there when the law changes in our democracy. No, he got to come back. So that was Barclay left for Tubman to come in and sit in, because he wanted to change the laws. And when the law changed, the president can't sit there and change the law and then take over at the same time. No, that's not how it works. He come back after the next term and see he can come back again. But Tubman just changed the law and just stay right there. They just changed the law, then they got tired. They say, okay, let Tubman stay there until the president can stay there until as long as the people vote for him. So you see how our laws change. And with the changing our laws, certain people died. The Coleman and his son died. They opposed Tubman changing the laws. They stood up against him. There were Liberians who stood up against Tubman. They stood up against Tubman and he killed them, charged them with treason and all of that. My grandfather owned a fooling. They told him he can't be vice president. And because they couldn't kill him away from the presidency, he had to become part of the presidency for them to kill him. So after they drew him near, then they could kill him. They could poison him because he was under Tubman, and they could have access to him. But as long as he was in the house, they really had no access to him. And I told you, how I know all of this, that Tubman killed my grandfather, people suspected it. First of all, the Caribbean people thought it was Talbot. Everybody went after Talbot. Most people think it's Talbot still. But the first time I knew about it, I was walking, and one man called me, he said, who killed your father, your grandfather? I said, the people said that Tubman, Talbot, them, and all of them would agree. He said, no, that wasn't Talbot. He said, your grandfather wasn't a threat to Talbot. I said, he said, who you think your grandfather was a threat to? Then I just smiled because I didn't want to answer the question. And he said, talking about, I knew from small, I couldn't say anything about wanting to be the president. My auntie totally forbade me talking about wanting to be president or wanting to be leader of my country. She always told me, don't let Tubman hear you talk about that. So why would my aunt from small consistently say to me, don't let Tubman hear you? It was like I was hidden from Tubman. Because my aunt always told me to keep quiet about it. Don't ever talk about Tubman business in the house here. And every time she said that, tears would come down her eyes when she talked about Ben Fremont and Tubman. So She loved Tutma, but she knew Tutma had done some wrong. And that was, every time I talk about wanting to be president, she said, shut up, don't let Tutma hear you. Don't let Tutma hear you talking that thing. And she would always say that to me. So this day, after this man told me about my grandfather and Tutma, I just took it with a grain of salt and just kept trucking. But what really brought it to my senses was my grandmother has never talked about my grandfather before with me. All my growing up, living with my grandmother, going with her all the time. I was with my grandmother all the time when I was growing up. She would give me money for the movies. I always had to go there for my movie money every Saturday to go to the movie. My grandmother never talked about my grandfather to me. Except one day. One day. After this man told me about my grandfather, I told you I took it with a grain of salt. It was not long after that I walked into my grandmother's house. And out of the blues, my grandmother just said to me, she just, I don't know why she said it. My grandfather wanted me to know it. Because out of the blue, my grandmother just said to me, she said, you know something? Every time your grandfather came home, he was always mad because Tutma will always ask him, are you a real man? You sure you're a real man? She said, and your grandfather will always come home and say, what Tutma mean if I'm a real man? Why you ask me that kind of question? Why you ask me? Right there I knew. I said, oh. So what this man told me is true. Because anybody in Liberian society asks you if you're a real man. They're asking you if you got juju. If you're a strong man on the spiritual side, you got strong juju. They want to test you. He kept asking my grandmother, why Tutma always asking me if I'm a real man, if I'm a real man? You see, why would my grandmother say that out of the blue? She was not even talking about my grandfather. When he went on the topic of his death, Tutma, we not went on none of that topic. She just came on and said, you know something? Every day your grandfather came home, he said, why Tutma always ask me if I'm a man? As soon as she said that, I lifted my hair. I said, wow. I said, does my grandfather want me to know this? For us Africans, we believe in spiritualism. Many of the things in my life, I didn't have to go out to find out about it. They came to me. They came to me because I was worth it to hear the news. We are chosen. We don't select ourselves. Everything that filters down to the spiritual, that you must know. You are chosen to hear it. If you watch these spiritual shows, the people who see UFO and say they can communicate with them, they are chosen. They're just not ordinary people. So it is with the spiritual. Read your Bible. All the people in the Bible that God talked to, that God manifested himself to, that God used to do his work, they were all chosen. They didn't choose God. He chose them. So you got to understand your plight. I was chosen to give you all this message. If I wasn't, I would have died during the 1980 war. Cool. And thereafter. But we need leaders. We don't even only need political leaders. We need leaders to give us the food, to tell us the truth. Because everybody will not tell us the truth. All the people talking right now besides me, you hear them talking about Tutma being the source of some of the problems we're facing today. No, they were not talking. They were not talking. But we gotta talk the truth. All those things we did for Tottenham to stay in power 30 years, Apple Port talk about it. But Apple Port didn't have the power and strength behind him. He was a teacher. He was just an ordinary guy, but he wasn't afraid to talk. And he wasn't afraid to go to jail. So he ridiculed him, put him in jail. He knew that he wasn't a real threat to his throne. So he just made fun of Apple Port. But Apple Port was telling us things that people had died for in Liberia. He was telling us things. But he wasn't a big political man. He was just a common teacher. So Tottenham didn't think that a teacher had that kind of weight to remove him from power. Apple Port didn't want power either. Apple Port just wanted to educate the Liberian people to tell us, hey, this is what's happening. This is not right. I don't know much about Apple Port's past, but I don't know if Apple Port ever ran for office. I know he was the leader that inspired these guys in PPP and all of that. He was one of the people. But he was just a common teacher, man. And they say Apple Port used to walk around with his bag to go to jail when he hit Tottenham. Because he wasn't afraid to tell Tottenham. When Tottenham boy, he said, my man, the people suffering. You go, just like how we talk about George Weah, now that Jaha Apple Port used to talk about Tottenham. But majority of the people love Tottenham. Majority of the people. Tottenham did some good things for Liberia. But the way he did them did not last. Look at right now, you think if Tottenham had really built Liberia to last, George Weah then would be talking about they have done more for Liberia than any other president? They would not be talking that. Why are they talking that? Because the whole legacy of Tottenham is in oblivion. Because the very fruits of his plight have come to roost. He used Liberian people to stay in power for 30 years. Now the very people he used are using his strategy to maintain themselves in power and destroy our country. They kill his son. But you see what goes around comes around. I always say what goes. If you don't do it with love, you don't do it with good intention. If it's just me, and you got the care of different people under you, but you just care about me, whatever you do will be destroyed. Yes, I've been all through history. Look at Napoleon. Look at all the King of France, the King of England, all the people there. It was a me time. And the people rose up against them, trying to change our world to make it what it is today. Is there a better world? That's value judgment. You know what value judgment is? Whoever is making the judgment is based on what they value. Okay? So if I'm making a judgment, I say, oh, this is good, and you can look at it and say, nah, Chesson, I don't think that is. So that is value judgment. What are my values? What do I value in the situation? So the things that I value, I judge them and say, oh, they're good. I place them in high priority over everything else and only focus on that thing. So these are the things that break us down because we got to look at things from every perspective. Not because my pa or my family enjoyed under Tottenham. Not because I grew up under Tottenham and saw things I've never seen before in Liberia today. What I saw on the top of my time, the fruits, the enjoyment in Liberia, the happiness in Liberia, I haven't seen it yet. That what people didn't mind Tottenham staying there for years. People didn't mind it, whether he was corrupt or not. The people didn't mind it because on the Tottenham we have peace and prosperity. What appeared to be peace and prosperity. But it was all based on deception, Gabe. Your part deceived the community, man. Saturdays, your part you sit down and give everybody money, raw cash. You didn't have to apply for nothing, just go visit Tottenham. Have the opportunity. And you see the part about it, not everybody was visiting Tottenham, only a few people. And those were the people getting cash every Saturday morning. You go visit VAT, oh man, you're not leaving there with $1,000 or so. But how did that help our country? It didn't help our country. Tottenham was not stern with the cash. He was loose with the cash. He just gave the cash up to stay in power because he knew everybody wanted some of the money. So he was eating money. Why not spread the money? That's why they had the break and blow system. He didn't encourage people to steal, but when he stole, he fire you, maybe flog you one or twice. That's the only thing about Tottenham. You got to stand the flogging. Because when they move you from office, you're going to get flogged. They're going to beat you, brutalize you a little bit, then set you aside for a while. Then Tottenham would call you back later on. He said, come on back, boy. You know, you took the beating, you took the slapping, you didn't say nothing. Come on back. I'll give you a better job. Pop, you minister or something. That's how Tottenham did his game, man. When he put you in there, you steal, you didn't share it, or you hid it from him, they flock the hell out of you and fire you. Then years down the road, he will call you back. He said, come on, boy. Maybe 1 or 2 months, 3 months, 4 months down the road, he will call you and say, I can't take this small thing. You start maybe with sports director or something. That's how he did my part. For assistant minister to sports director, it was secretary at that time. It was minister. I mean, attorney general at that time. From assistant attorney general, they fire him, flog him, all of that. When they call him by a main director of sports, try to bring him up small again. See what kind of gift he would give to Tottenham for that position. You know, what kind of gift you give to Tottenham, how you glorify Tottenham, how you praise Tottenham, that's how you move up. So there's the same thing going on, man. There's the same Tottenham leadership going on. It's just that today, all of us were hip to it now. It's not only our poor and the Coleman brothers and my grandfather and all the people that he killed. All of us hip to it now. So when we see corruption, we know it. We say, yeah. No. We know that thing. We know that thing. We've been with that thing for a long time. We know it. So that's why everybody in our society, man, they know our country corrupt. Because corruption is embedded in our society. Every time I go in the bathroom and I think of the songs we used to sing, trust and don't pay, 'cause there's no other way to be happy in Liberia but to trust and don't pay. When you take a religious song into a crooked song, what are you expecting in our society, man? Those are the songs we sang, man. Trust and don't pay. From small, we're singing that song, man. Trust and don't pay, 'cause there's no other way to be happy in Liberia but to trust and don't pay. That's why people can't pay bills today. How many Liberians can pay their bills? You get Liberian people money? I beg you. You get Liberian people money, they expect you to forgive them. What? I'm telling you, man. You can't get Liberian people money. Then the other song is you chop or I chop. You chop, I chop. It makes God laugh. Steve from Steve make God laugh. How would God laugh from Steve from Steve? You see, one day I sat down, I was wondering, Gabe Tucker, you my man, you my brother, man, but we got to face the facts. That your grandfather, but your grandfather corrupted our nation, man. Can you imagine? One day I was sitting down, just thinking on some of the things. I was trying to find out how we became corrupt. Then the song just popped in my head, trust and don't pay. I said, oh, I see how we became corrupt. It's a psychic. Our psychic is screwed. Can you imagine from a kid, you singing trust and don't pay? Then you yelling, you chop I chop, make God laugh. You Steve for Steve, make God laugh. How God will laugh from Steve for Steve? But those are things, those are slogans and jargons we grew up saying. Then we wonder why our society corrupt. Because it started from small. We can't be singing those kind of songs. We're supposed to be corrected by our parents. No. You can't sing those songs. Those songs promote dishonesty, untrustworthiness, unpatriotism. Those songs promote that. When our young children sing those songs, we rectify them. We tell them, no, that's not the song we want to hear you singing in our house. No, those are dishonest songs, and we tell them why we don't want them to sing it in our homes. They promote dishonesty. You want your children to be honest. Tell your children right now that you hear them singing those kind of songs, don't join them and start laughing and say, oh, no, stop and say, no. I don't want you singing those kind of songs. They promote dishonesty. They promote untrustworthiness. They promote unfairness. They teach us how to be greedy and rogues. And that's not what we are. That's not what we are. Our children don't need to be singing those songs no more. No, because they don't understand the implications of what those songs mean. They don't understand it. They don't understand it. And many Liberian people don't understand corruption. That's why sometimes we got to have seminars. Just 1 or 2 days seminar to explain corruption. So we give people a broader understanding of what corruption is all about. It's not only working for government and stealing money, it's being untrustworthy. People give you the money to go buy things, you make an agreement to pay cheaper things, then you keep the people money. You can't keep the people money. You got to give it back to them. That's not your money. The ownership of the money is attached to it. Even when you don't buy the stuff for the money you want to buy it, that's not your money. If you go to the Liberia man, the Liberia man reduce the price from $10 to $5. The other $5 not for you. You got to come back and report it. And if the person who got the money want to give you some, they'll give you some. But to keep the person money, that's not stealing. That's what we call conversion. Conversion. You converted the people money into yours and it wasn't yours. Okay? Stealing is when you take things that I don't know you took. When you take things behind my back, that's stealing. But if I entrust you with money to go buy something and you do something with that money to keep some for yourself illicitly, illegally, that's conversion. Okay? I can't charge you with larceny. If I charge you with larceny, the case will be thrown out because you didn't steal from me. I entrusted you with the money. Okay, but I told you to do something with the money, not just keep it for yourself. And you didn't do it. Okay, so you converted it into what you wanted to do. So that's it, my people. Today is Saturday. I don't want to go too much into the law and all these kind of things. But these are kind of things Liberian people gotta learn, man. We gotta learn these small kind of things. That's why we need a seminar of government officials so we can go over the code of conduct, what it means, how is it effective in our nation, how should government officials be held accountable and responsible under the code of conduct. We need that. Our people need to know, because when you do that, then you have no mercy in putting them in jail. When you do a seminar like that, government officials, you're not going to have something big to cost the government money. You're going to do a half-day seminar, maybe for 1 week, from Monday to Friday, where every government official will attend. And not only attend, after the seminar, everybody will sign the code of conduct. Every government official will sign the code of conduct, telling us that they read it, they understand it, they appreciate it, and they will follow it, and they will sign it. And we'll keep it in a big government record. Because when we get ready to jail you, when we get ready to flog you, you open your mouth, we'll bring that document out. You say you didn't know the law, we'll bring the document out. That's how they do in America. They don't just let people, government officials go there. No. When they make new rules, they send it to everybody to read. You can keep it as long as you want, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, before they start borrowing you for you to pass it on to somebody else. But you can keep it until you read it. Take your time and read it. It will give you maybe 1 week to read it. You read it, you sign it, then you pass it on. That means you understand it, you appreciate it. You're a government worker. You are held accountable. When you mess up, we'll punish you under our law. You can't say nothing, you sign it. Once it falls under that rule. And these are the discipline we got to bring to our country and people. Monrovia has fallen apart, my people. How do we build Monrovia? We're talking about the roads. Look at all the sidewalk gone. People living hazardous lives in Liberia under the sidewalks of people. We got to fix all the things in our country. We got to overhaul our country. How do we do it? We can't do it with standing rows all over the place. We got to be loyalists and patriots. Are you a patriot? Are you ready to stand up to build Liberia? Are you ready to work hard, honestly, with trustworthiness as the goal to free our nation and people? Are you ready? It's not easy. It's not an easy road, to be honest. You see why I'm mad with all these criminals who stealing and won't come on the air and act like the regular citizens of Liberia and talk. No, you can't do that. We tired with rogues. We tired with liars. We tired with criminals. How do we stop it? When people commit crime, we don't join them and support them and make them come on the air and act like they all fair like all of us. No. To live decent life in this country is hard. To live under the law is hard. It's hard. Temptation all around us is hard. But we keep our heads straight because some of us, like me, I want to be a professional. I want to die knowing that everything I did it for it to be successful, not for it to fail, for it to be an example of leadership and direction. It doesn't matter what I do, but whatever I do, let it be outstanding. See, and it can't be that way when you're a rogue, you have no respect for things, for other people, and all the things. No, it can't be. It can't be. When you're a professional, you understand when to respect people. When to honor people. When to chit-chat with people and when not to chit-chat with people. You know all those things because they are part and parcel of everything we do. Of everything we do. And you don't know it and understand it, you fail. My class is done, my people. 1 hour. Enjoy the Commander GR Glapohkpa Chesson class is done. I gotta get out of here. This is the weekend. I see you, my people. Have a good day. Have a good day. Don't let me stop you. Don't let me stop you. Okay? Have a good day now. Take care of yourself and have a good day. I see you.